What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about this. This is the X-Mando. Specifically, this is the Burgundy X-Mando, also known as the X-Fang, which is made by a company called Xplor, which is run by a guy named Hing. And that is all coming out of Singapore's Nerf scene, which is like the home of old school cool like Atani and Psych. And this is the X-Mando. It is a $1,500, yes, you heard me right, $1,500 Singaporean, that's Singaporean currency, not United States, blaster. It's still a massive investment for anybody who wanted to buy one of these and have it shipped to the States. Now, it fires these. These were made by my friend Chris Cartea out of California. He is the only United States Nerfer that really uses Xplor gear dedicated, and these are X-Darts. X-Darts are made of silicone tips. Now, I'm not normally a big fan of silicone tips, but these are by far the best silicone tips out there because they've got rifling fins that cause them to spin and, in theory, make them more accurate. They're also made to very tight specifications, which is really good for anything that you want reliable, repeatable, consistent results out of. And they're essentially doing the same thing that Stefan darts, in our case, Southeast Slugs, have been doing for a very long time, which is giving you a much shorter dart, which allows you to hit higher ranges with more accuracy. It's an overall better platform than the traditional full-length 50 cal darts, although it is still 50 caliber. Now, as far as the blaster itself goes, the blaster is kind of designed, and I could be wrong here, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm getting any of the like lore or mythos behind the X-Mando wrong, but the theory was they had made so many long shot shells and shell replacements for long shot internals. They wanted to make something for close quarters battle, which is what happens in Singapore most of the time. Singapore has highly regulated gun laws, so they typically play in private areas in close quarters combat, and Springers have been very popular in the Singapore Nerf scene for a really long time, so long shots are super popular, but so is the Alpha Trooper. And so Xplor, which I believe has a weapons contract in Singapore, which is how they make all of these fully molded shells, they decided to make something that was like a bigger, homemade Elite Alpha Trooper, so to speak. So the plunger tube in this is huge. It's got a adjustable stock built into it. There are 3 settings you can see here. Mine doesn't like to stay put in the tightest setting because it has a hard time locking in, so I've got to tease it in, but that's completely compact. And then I keep it on the highest setting here, where it's out like so. I don't store it this way, I store it compact, but this puts it a little short for me. But again, like, I have very long arms. My arms are actually longer than the X-Mando fully extended, which is why it's still kind of cramped for me. But I'm sure that that is not the average in Singapore. So it makes sense to me that it's this size, and it is a good size for what it is, but it wasn't hitting hard enough for the United States Nerf scene. So while I'm reviewing the blaster's overall craftsmanship and how it functions, and I'm using the very special Xplor Clipazines, which I'll get to. I know, technically they're magazines, guys, hang in there. The blaster itself has been completely overhauled, again by Chris, who does these very compact spring weaves to make them much higher kilogram loads. So this has been redone so that it would be a higher spring load to kind of meet that American standard for NIC or homemade class blasters. And so it's pretty close now to that. They also are really into tactical stuff in Singapore, so this is a full Picatinny rail, but since this was a custom one-off, the Burgundy X-Fang, the shell kind of warped a little bit in the mold, and you can see that it really needs something on it to hold it shut, because my particular model doesn't close all the way at the top. That's not a big deal to me, because I don't really care and I don't use a lot of optics, but if you're thinking about dropping this kind of money on a blaster that is of note, these are painted pieces. They are originally injection molded, but it is fully ambidextrous. The magazine release is over here as well as over here, and for some reason it's painted black, not injection molded black like a lot of the other pieces, and so the paint chips off of this one. Anytime you set it down, this is where it touches, and so when you go to pick it up, you scrape it a little bit, and that's just happened over the lifetime of the blaster. I've had this for I want to say a little over a year now, and I've enjoyed using it at a couple of wars, but again, it's weird. It's not quite a stock class blaster, so it doesn't really work for the SENC, and it's not quite powerful enough for our NIC type wars, unless I really want to like cool off and have a goofy round. But my favorite thing about the Elite Alpha Trooper is the way that you grip it. This will grip the same way, but it's got a really tight tolerance here, so I actually use it like an angled foregrip down here, and it's more like a Rampage at that point, but it's a Rampage that has a, what am I looking for here? Doesn't have a horizontal magazine feed. It has a vertical mag feed, which is more my style. Now, in Singapore, you don't need these because their firearms laws are so strict, but since it was sent over to the States, Hing was kind enough to make me a flash hider that is neon orange, so it complies with a lot of local laws and regulations. But that's a ton of talking about the thing. It's very expensive. The injection molding is very nice. I love the custom options. Once you spend that much money on a blaster, you can basically get what you want, and so I wanted it DRAC colors. It is silver, red, and black with a orange tip, so that's exactly what we wanted it to be. But let's fire it now. The reason that I've put off firing it for so long in this video and wanted to talk about it first is it's actually very difficult to fire. The prime is super duper heavy now, and it has a hard time with these darts. It was designed for, I think, Explorer tips, and there have been a few iterations of these tips. I think it was designed back for the original tips. Wow. And now it's, wow. It hasn't done that in a while. That was a perfect shot, beeline right down the middle, and broke the tree line. So it's much more powerful than an Alpha Trooper is what I've been getting at. But in having Chris increase the power like he did, we ran into some serious issues with rate of fire. It's now hard for me to prime, so I'm trying to get stronger so that I can prime it and operate it as quickly as I would like. But we'll drop that. We'll load this one up. Very pleased with that performance. Wasn't sure what it was going to do today because it has jammed on me in the past, and that's exactly what happened. So you can see there that sometimes we wind up with some issues. Now normally that can be fixed by, and I'm going to check again, I wear safety goggles that double as my video goggles. You should never look down the barrel of any kind of firearm, including toys, but sometimes I have to do it for videos. When it jams like this, what I like to do is drop the magazine, prime it again, and it will usually fire on the second shot. It's just an issue with these darts are so tight for this barrel that it can be difficult at times to get them to chamber properly, and if they don't seat properly, they tend to roll and these rubber tips get stuck in there. I've fixed that in the past by greasing the barrel before play, but I've noticed that with full clips it happens more often, and with like half-loaded clips you tend to get better results, but it just did it again. And so the X-Mando doesn't get a lot of play over in Singapore anymore because they changed the tip design for their darts, but it is still just a really sweet platform, and as a huge fan of the Elite Alpha Trooper, I really wanted to have one in my arsenal. Plus I really wanted to test the Explorer brand for myself. But I would love you guys' comments and feedback in the comment section below, because I'm actually about to leave. I'm probably launching this video while I'm currently on a 30-hour flight adventure to Singapore to see the Explorer workshop. They've kind of started contracting with a company called XJet, which is owned by Gut over there, and I'm really excited to see their workshop, see how these things work in a closed environment where all the darts are optimized for the barrels and whatnot, because, I mean, if I shoved Elites in Bloodborne, that wouldn't work either. So I understand that there are some inconsistencies between getting this out of Singapore, and I would give anything to be able to take this back into Singapore with me so that I could see what's up and do some work on it and really get it firing like the ones over there do. But the way that their customs works, there's no way I could ever get anything that looks anything even remotely like this back into Singapore. So I'm going to have to settle for whatever loaner Hing has for me over there. But man, if all the shots were like that, this would be a monster on the field. I wonder if I can get another one. See, that's when it's going great, it's awesome. It's so good when it's working that it's honestly like worth that kind of price tag. But when it jams like that, it just breaks my heart. But that is my review of the X-Mando. Again, I've had a lot of time to play with this. I sent it off to a friend of mine to have it twerked for the United States kind of markets. Now, I don't know if I can necessarily recommend this particular model for the United States because, again, it fits in that weird place between stock class nerfing or Sambo class nerfing and then elite class nerfing or NIC or DIY or whatever homemade class nerfing. So it's somewhere in between, but it's perfect for Singapore style play. It's really good if everybody is using these style magazines and these style darts, which is what the Singapore Nerf community has managed to do, is make this the standard. And when it's the standard and everybody can share with everything, it's just like the old Nerf versus Boomco argument. When everybody's using it and you can all share and it's really easy to fix and repair and cross-compatible stuff, then it's perfect. So very excited to go over to Singapore. Would love your comments and feedback, not only on this blaster, but also on the kind of style of this, because I've got a lot of questions of my own for XJet when I get there, and I've got a lot of videos that I want to make for you when I get over there. But before I did that, I wanted to get your questions so that I could kind of put all of your stuff, because you guys are the reason that I'm going over there in the first place, and I want to make sure that I do right by you and get the answers that you might be looking for from this company, because they're doing very unique, very cool stuff, and I just want to cover as much as I possibly can. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a lot of talking and not a ton of shooting, but for something this expensive and this different, I really wanted to make sure that you guys got a complete understanding of why it exists, how it exists, and how I feel about it. So there you go. Much love. Nerf on. Drac out.